this one. Every 3 months, I kind of put the training schedule out, and Dan has been doing some with us, investor sessions and things, and he was super excited about doing a session on going green. So I'm super excited to kind of hear it, and it is being recorded. So if you want to rewatch it, it'll be in the Agent Hub later today or tomorrow. But otherwise, I'm going to hand it over to Dan. And for anyone that doesn't know, Dan is our manager in Cincinnati. So kind of helping us run the whole Cincy market. So Dan, I will hand it over to you. Oh, as you're taking a sip of water.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for jumping on this beautiful Tuesday here. As Wayne mentioned, we're going to be talking about going green today. And you're going to soon find out this is a passion of mine. I've got a pretty substantial history in the conservation world, and I am going to tie this into how it can help you and your clients in real estate. So, the agenda today is the who, what, when, where, why, how. I'll give everyone on this Zoom a little advice. If you ever have a presentation or need to write a paper, if you stick to the basics of who, what, when, where, why, and how, it is so easy to put together your presentation, your speech, your paper. So those are the basic cornerstones of what most papers, presentation, speeches are about. So today we're going to be talking about the who, what, when, where, why, and how of going green. So to start, who am I? So for those of you that don't know me, or for those of you that know me only in real estate, I am a lover of animals, as you can see with these pictures that I have had the privilege to work with many exotic animals over my lifetime. I love animals more than people, except for you guys on this call. Really appreciate you. Love you guys. But I've loved animals my whole life. I love animal conservation, love talking about it. I've got a background also in nonprofit management. So, for the longest time of my professional career, my dream job was to run a nonprofit organization or start a nonprofit that had animal conservation in its mission, such as a SeaWorld, an aquarium, a zoo, etc. I've got a master's degree in conservation biology with a focus on marine life. So that picture in the top right is me doing some research, even though I look like I'm having a good time. But those are in the waters off the Galapagos Islands where we were doing some really cool research down there. I was a conservation education curator. I know that's a mouthful, but that was at the Newport Aquarium in Newport, Kentucky. So that's where I was able to be hands-on with all types of really cool animals, such as my gator friend at the bottom. That's Bert, and his brother Ernie is not in that picture. But I loved handling the alligators. Those were always fun. I have been fortunate enough to present to Congress, the United States Congress, in 2016, 17, and 18 on marine conservation. So if you look at that picture of the shark cart, that is Liz Bonus, a TV personality in Cincinnati. And I unveiled our shark cart. It's the only one of its kind in the United States. We were able to build a mobile shark cart that I can take real live sharks out into the community. I pushed that tank onto a Mercedes Sprinter van that has a lift gate to it. And we would take our animals, our sharks, out to schools, libraries, senior centers, daycares, country clubs, public events, you name it, I was there. We made a ton of money off of bringing sharks in the community. So it was so successful that Congress found out about it, and they asked me to come present in 2016 on microbeads, which are little plastics that can be found in a wide variety of cosmetics, products, things like that that end up in our ocean. Then it was such a big hit to have all the congressmen and women come up and touch the sharks and learn all about them. They asked me to come back in 17 and 18 as well. I've got a funny Facebook post. I used to run the Facebook account of the aquarium, and I had the sharks at the foot of my bed, staying in a Holiday Inn out in Washington, D.C. And I took a picture of me under the covers, but the sharks at the foot of my bed. And I had something in the caption saying, "Do you think Holiday Inn knows that they have three sharks in their hotel at this time?" That got a lot of likes. But I'm a conservation at heart. I'm a conservationist that you're not gonna see me out hugging a tree or telling people to hug trees. I like to educate people, whether it's real estate, whether it's conservation, whether it's anything. I'm an educator at heart, and I love being able to educate people about conservation and how it's going to help you as a real estate agent today. I do have my NAR green certification. So I went through that class many years ago to get my green certification. So you'll see on my logo, my email signature, that I do have that. So that's a little bit about me, to say the least. I've got a little background in conservation to be able to talk to you guys about going green today. So let's talk about the what of going green. So going green means implementing certain lifestyle changes designed to help you live in a more eco-friendly way. It means becoming more environmentally aware and changing your behavior and lifestyle to reduce the amount of pollution and waste you generate. So I always tell people one of the most powerful things you have at your disposal is what's called the power of a consumer. And as a power of the consumer, you have a choice every day on what to consume. So, for example, as you found out in the last slide, that I am a lover of sharks. I've studied sharks in three different oceans around the world. I've swam without a cage with many different shark species. And so I was working on a project in 2016 and 17 to ban shark fin soup from any restaurant or catering company in Kentucky. Shark fin soup is where they catch a shark, they take a machete and brutally cut off its fins. They throw the live shark overboard, but obviously it can't swim without fins, so it sinks to the bottom. It actually drowns. People don't realize that animals that live in water can drown, but sharks would drown. Just a horrible way to get the fins. And then the fins would be turned into shark fin soup, which is a delicacy in the Asian culture. And so the power of the consumer, I had a choice whether to dine at a restaurant that serves shark fin soup. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. You have the power as well to choose what you purchase. So, for example, there's something called palm oil that is taken from certain trees over where orangutans live. Most people don't realize that, but the orangutan habitat has disintegrated so much because they're burning and taking down all their habitat to build or plant these palm trees to get this palm oil. So if you have a choice to purchase two products and you see that one has palm oil and one does not, that is what the power of the consumer is your choice each and every day. You've probably seen this logo before: reduce, reuse, recycle. Those three arrows for the longest time used to have those three words: reduce, reuse, recycle. Well, probably 8, 9, 10 years ago, maybe they added the word refuse in there. So, for example, if any of you ever have gone out to lunch or dinner with me, you will see that when a waitress or waiter comes over to give me a drink, I do not use a plastic straw. Um, Part of my master's degree researching sea turtles, we found a sea turtle in the Sea of Cortez that had a straw stuck in its nose. And when you see how that is pulled out with needle nose pliers and the noise it makes, you'll never use a plastic straw again because it's just terrible for the environment. So you can refuse things too. You don't just have to reduce, reuse, recycle. The reason I'm telling you guys this is the power of knowledge. Is when you're talking to your clients, when you're talking to your kids, your friends, when you have the knowledge, it makes you more credible. So that's what I'm trying to do today, is just to give you a background information, some of these terms, things that you're going to be able to pull away from this, that you're going to be able to talk to other people about. What is LEED? Some of you on this Zoom may have heard of this before. So the acronym LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. I know that's a big term, but really what it is, it's the world's most widely used green building rating system. So buildings can have a rating system. We're going to talk about this in the future here of this presentation. So the LEED certification provides a framework for healthy, high efficient, cost saving green buildings, which offer environmental, social, and governance benefits. So it's globally recognized too, which is awesome. So it's not one of those things that it just happens in Ohio or just happens in Florida, just happens in the United States. The LEED is worldwide. So that way you can talk about this wherever you go or whoever you're talking a client with. So you can see that the 197,000 LEED projects worldwide, it's in 186 countries and territories, which is pretty amazing. So that is a term that you can go do research on. You can get more involved with it, but just having that knowledge background to be able to say what, answer a question or talk to a potential client about what a LEED building is. The Energy Star. You probably have seen this maybe on your appliances, but this is important for you guys to know. Energy Star is a government-backed symbol for energy efficiency. The blue Energy Star label provides simple, credible, and unbiased information that consumers and businesses rely on to make well-informed decisions. Before I go buy appliances, I jump on Energy Star. It's a great website. You can look at all the different models and products out there. They'll give you the ones that use less energy. And ultimately, that's going to save you money. So when you're out touring a home and showing clients homes and you see that logo, you can talk to them about what that means. There isn't a single person on planet Earth that doesn't want to save money. So if you can be the person to educate your clients, because that's what we do as realtors, we educate our clients. If you can educate them on what Energy Star, what that logo means, and that it's government-backed symbol and it stands for energy efficiency, and that you can actually look up that model number of that appliance to see its rating compared to others. All right, this is a good one for you guys to know because a lot of clients out there, the general public has very little knowledge on conservation, going green. Trust me, I used to go in the general public just about every day, educating people and talking to people. So I know our clients are going to be the same way. They don't realize that you can actually have a home energy score. I did this years ago. I had a company come out because I wanted somebody to go through with a fine tooth comb to my personal house and see what can be done. What am I excelling in and where is my home falling short? So it was developed by the Department of Energy. So the HES, the Home Energy Score, provides homeowners, your buyers, renters, comparable and credible information about a home's energy use. So they liken it to a miles per gallon rating for a vehicle. They use a scale from 1 to 10. But it's really cool to be able to see your score and how you compare with others. So the company that I use is actually our utility company in Cincinnati. It's called Duke Energy. So I'm not sure if you're not from Cincinnati, if you're in Florida on this call, I'm sure that there's an energy company, utility company down there that will do the same thing. All right, the who, what, when. When are we talking here? Changes made today equal positive impacts on Mother Earth's future. Changes made today equal money saved on your utility bills in the future. So even if you take some of the stuff I'm going to talk about here in a little bit and just implement some of it into your personal house, your apartment, your condo, you can save money. And again, I don't know anybody that doesn't want to save money on utility bills. I can't stand having high utility bills. I don't know. There's something about it just bothers me that I hate having high utility bills. So I've learned different ways to save on utility bills that I'm going to share with you today. And, I'm just on my soapbox here. Changes made today. Look, it's all going to be a better tomorrow for our children and grandchildren. I've got 2 kids myself. I want them to have a great planet Earth when I die. And if I can do anything to help that out, I certainly will. All right, let's go to the where part of this. All right, where are you going to implement changes? Where are you going to educate people? Well, first and foremost, your clients are buying and selling. If you can walk around your client's house at a listing appointment or before you take pictures that you're going to list that house, and if you can point out certain things that will help them sell the house or help them save money on utility bills, that would probably, the way I do it when I am walking with a client, it's more for if they're buying a house, I will go through and point out things that they can save if they close on this house when it comes to utility bills or going green for this property. So the more you know about going green when it comes to real estate, the more you're going to be able to help your clients, whether it comes to buying and selling. And then obviously on the other side of this equation is your home. Uh, you'd be crazy not to implement some of these really cheap ways to save money on utility bills. And some of these things I'm going to talk about with your home, you might not have ever heard of before. Some of them I'm sure you have. Some of them are more expensive. Some of them, though, are not that bad when it comes to the money that you have to spend in order to implement these. Where else can you implement these? Besides your client's homes, besides your home, what about investment properties? I know I've talked on these Zooms about investment properties myself. So this one on the left, this investment property was a 20 unit. There were 2 brick buildings side by side. I owned this building and the one next to it, and we were getting crushed with water bills and utility bills when it came to, as owners, we had to pay common area electric, but it was also boiler heat throughout these 2 buildings. So we had a plumber that we owned it for about a year, and we had a plumber come in, and we paid the plumber to go through every single unit and install the water sense shower heads, like the one that I am holding here that's got a little filtration on it, little sink aerators like this. We had him put these little sink aerators on the kitchen faucet, the bathroom faucet, but he also went through and he checked every toilet, every faucet in the kitchen, in the bathroom, the bathtub. And you would be amazed at how many just dripping faucets that he came across over 20 units. So he spent a full day over there going through all 20 units. But that money, we immediately saw a drop in our water usage that we were being billed every month. Um, that's just one. It was well worth it. I think we paid him, I don't know, it was like $400 to do that. So we probably made that money up in the next 2 months after that, just based on having all of those units, sealed or put the water, the low flow shower head or the aerator on the faucets. Little things like that can go a long way. So if you have an investment property and you are paying the water bill or the gas and electric, anything like that, I would highly, highly recommend going through and seeing what you can do to save money, because ultimately with investment properties, as we've learned, it's all about the bottom line and the cash flow. All right. So, for those of you that may have a vacation home or may want to have a vacation home at some point, I certainly do. And I want to be able to use that vacation home as an Airbnb to make cash flow, but I also want to be able to use it for my personal use. And I think that would be a great way for you to figure out if it's a vacation home for me. It's not going to be in Ohio. It is either going to be on a beach somewhere or it's going to be probably somewhere in the mountains. So those are 2 climates that are totally different than where I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I need to figure out, okay, what type of roof? Can I get a cool roof if it's down in Florida? Or can I get a certain roof that's going to help me protect, keep the heat in if it's in the mountains? So these are things to know where you can implement these, because as much as some of the stuff on the inside we can talk about, some of the stuff on the outside of a building is really going to be climate specific. All right, let's talk about the why now. Knowledge equals power, but knowledge also equals money. I strongly urge you to just get to know your local Lowe's and Home Depot very well. And what do I mean by that? I tell my interns this all the time. Every intern that has come through ERA in the past 4 years, I spend half a day and I take them to a Lowe's or Home Depot and we walk up and down every single aisle and I just educate them on everything in every aisle, because I've spent so much time of my life walking Lowe's and Home Depots. I would just, if I had time to kill, I dropped our daughter off at volleyball and I had an hour to kill and there was a local Home Depot, man, I would just go walk through the store and learn about things, read up on them, see the difference between them, price them out. I love pricing materials out in order to know who has the better deals at Lowe's or Depot. You notice I don't talk much about Menards as the other big. I'm not a huge fan of Menards. I question whether buying a materials for a home improvement project at a place you can buy dog food and groceries as well. That's kind of overboard for me. But anyway, I would highly recommend, again, you guys go in and look at the plumbing, look at the water fixtures, read up on the appliances, look at the different electrical components of a lighting system and get to know these things, get to know where it says lead or the any of the other acronyms used in the Going Green world, which there's a ton to learn. All right, two more main reasons. Again, we're talking about helping out Earth, but also the money aspect, which I know you guys love to know about, learn about. Investments in energy efficiency are up 17% year over year to a tune of $1.7 trillion. Now, I'm not here to get into any of the politics involved with Going Green, because I do know there are politics involved with it. I just saw the other day that Ford, one of the largest car manufacturers in the world, they decided to pull back on their initial goal of having, I think it was going to be all their vehicles were going to be electric by 2030. Now they've kind of pivoted and gone a different direction where they're going more hybrid rather than fully electric. So, but if you see what stock of like Tesla did, I mean, there's so much money being invested in energy efficiency, whether it's solar panels out in our Hillsboro market. I mean, there are solar farms going up out there. So, I looked into solar energy one time, the panels on my roof, and I calculated it out. It would, if I paid what the quote was for, I would have to live in my house for 18 straight years to see the investment come back to me. And I ultimately decided not to put the money in solar panels. But I'm just giving you that stat. I'm not giving you a ton of stats here, but I'm giving you this one just to show you there is so much money in going green and environmentalism and conservation. So the more you understand that, the better off you're going to be able to help out the two generations that are really up on going green and conservation are millennials and Gen Zers. No offense to the baby boomers, but the baby boomers, were raised by people that grew up in the Depression. The baby boomers know what coal means and fracking and all that good stuff. But the younger generations, instead of, back in the 90s when I was in high school, it was cool to have a big Dodge pickup truck with a Hemi engine, and it got about 8 miles a gallon. And now you see high school kids and college kids driving Priuses and Teslas. It's just a different world. It's changing. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying for you as real estate agents, get to understand and know that there's money in this talk that we're having right now about going green. But it's up to you to implement it into your practice of being a real estate agent. So again, this is going to be another tool in your tool belt that you're going to be able to show your value prop to your clients, which I talk about all the time. All right, how are we going to do this? A home energy audit is awesome. You can get this from the NAR's page, the green designation. So, what's an home energy audit? Where you can have an energy assessment, which is like an exam of the construction of your home and the systems that go into it. And you can pay somebody to do that. Or, again, in Cincinnati, Duke Energy will do a home energy audit for you for free. This was a couple years ago. I'm assuming they still do it, but that is fantastic to be able to do. I did look it up one time. If you wanted to pay for a home energy audit, it was going to be around $500 to have somebody come out and do that. But that is one of the ways that you can do it yourself, or you can recommend it, meaning do it yourself at your house, or you can recommend this to your clients. So there is also, at least in the Cincinnati MLS, there's an energy green features checklist. Unfortunately, when I was trying to upload this PDF to the PowerPoint, it just didn't turn out. I am sure most MLSs will have something like this now. This was revised in 2014. So this checklist has been around for 10 years now. And what it does, it talks about the HERS index. It talks about Energy Star, go figure. Talks about LEED, talks about your home energy score, all those things that we talked about earlier, because knowing what those things are will help you if you ever get blindsided by a client and that client asks you, hey, what do you think the home energy score would be? And you're like, you would say, well, let's check into it and see if we can get somebody out here to get us a score so we know where we can improve upon. They also, on this checklist, have energy efficient features. So what does that mean? That's everything from insulation to the envelope, which we're going to talk about, windows, appliances, heating, cooling, water, air quality. So again, this is at your disposal. There's so many resources at your disposal for a real estate agent to better understand this type of client that is very interested in going green or having a very efficient house. All right, for those of you that are in the Cincinnati area, Duke Energy again is our utility provider. So I got this. It is a kit that they sent. And what you can do is, this kit is absolutely free. And I ordered this a few years ago just to use it to help educate people. This kit's amazing. So something as simple as, if you can see this, these are foam, like styrofoam insulators that go around your outlets or your wall switch. Because when you put those, especially on the exterior of your house, that is a way for air to get from the outside in, is going to be through where your junction box is to have your light switch or your outlet. So they give you 10 of them in here, and these are cheap. They're little foam pads that go in, and they just help insulate the outlets and the lights. Again, they sent me a shower head, and it has the aerator on it, which reduces the flow of water. I've got aerators on all my faucets in our house, and nobody could tell the difference. Like, you really can't tell when you get a good aerator or a low stream faucet head. They sent me one of the aerators that I was telling you to, that goes on the bottom of your sink faucet in the kitchen or your bath faucet. They sent me some plumber's tape, which is awesome because that reduces leaks by wrapping around the threaded end before you screw on your shower head or your faucet head. There is all these cool light bulbs they sent me, LED light bulbs that are going to be much more energy efficient than what you might have in your house right now. They also sent these two cool packets on energy efficiency kit, an installation guide that can help you install stuff. And then they gave this awesome book. It's like, 48 pages. Tips on saving money and energy in your home. This is free, people. This whole packet. How cool would that be if you ordered one of those and had it shipped right to your client's door? Doesn't cost you anything. You just have to do the work. They move in on, August 29th, and on September 5th, they get the utility company has this at the door, no cost to you, and they can go through this, and you can just say, hey, this is a little thank you for using me as your realtor, and I thought you might like this for your new home. So that is, again, Duke Energy. I'm not sure, but I would bet that other utility companies around the country have that. All right, let's get into more of the nuts and bolts of how. Plumbing. Water efficient fixtures can reduce water usage by 20%. It's absolutely amazing when you look at water efficiency and how much water costs, especially if you have any leaks or a running toilet. This is a really cool graph here from the EPA that just shows the difference. Me personally, if you go into my house, I've got water efficient toilets. They have little buttons on the top. They don't have the handle like the old school ones. You press one button if you have liquid in there and it just uses a small amount of water to flush it down. Or you press the second button if you have solids in the toilet and you want to have a little more water to flush that down. People get scared of water efficient toilets thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to have this thing clog. I don't want to have this thing. I have had water efficient toilets in my house since 2016, and I have not had a single issue with anything clogging because there wasn't enough water getting to it. That is a myth. So again, a toilet is an excellent way to swap out one of those old things that use much more water and put a high efficiency toilet in there, and that's going to be better. You can see the shower head, you can see the faucets, the dishwasher, any leaks. I mean, if you've got a leak, it's so easy for us to pass by a faucet every day and be like, okay, I got to fix that. I got to do that. I got to take care of that. And then a week goes by. And then you know what? A month goes by. Well, just that little leak can be very costly to the amount of water that you're actually using. So if I were you, I would take care of those leaks sooner than later. Those toilets that are running, take care of that sooner or later. It's just going to save you money. When you are walking a house with a client, point that stuff out. Be like, the toilet's running here. So if you do buy this house, probably want to get that fixed so you don't waste water and have to pay more for your water bill every month. All right, a smart thermostat. I don't know about you guys, but I have a smart thermostat. I use one called Ecobee, and I know there's one called Google Nest, but I can control my thermostat from my phone. I've got different sensors around the house. It is great to be able to control when nobody's home. If the kids are at school, my wife and I are at work all day, we don't need to have it, really cold in the house during the summer. So we could raise it a little bit. I could set a schedule, just having one of those programmable thermostats or a smart thermostat. But here's the key, people. You got to use it. I know people that have smart thermostats and have no idea how to use it. They just use the digital component, they set it at the number, and it runs 24/7 at that number. Studies have proven that if you use a programmable thermostat or a smart thermostat the way it was intended to be made, you can save money. Doors. Doors are one of your biggest holes in your exterior envelope of the house. When I say envelope, that is your whole encompassing outside structure, whether it's brick, stucco, vinyl, wood. That is called your envelope around. So the biggest holes of your envelope are going to be your doors, but the biggest one is going to be your garage door. We have a very efficient garage door. It is wood. Not many people have wood garage doors anymore, but it's thick, it's energy efficient. We've got weather stripping on the bottom of it. A lot of builders install these crappy, thin garage doors. Yeah, they look good. I think they're not made of plastic. I don't know if they're made of aluminum or something, but they're very, very thin and they're not insulated hardly at all. So that is most homes, that's the biggest way to lose energy is from heat or cold coming in through an uninsulated garage door. They look good on the outside, but as far as efficiency, they stink. So what you could do is you could actually buy styrofoam panels at Lowe's or Home Depot very cheaply, cut them with a razor knife, the size of each of your panels, and you can do two-sided tape right against the inside of that in just a quick $20, $30 in a couple hours, and you could insulate that garage door. Your front door, any door you have is going to be an area that heat or cold can creep into your house. So again, you see that Energy Star at the top. What makes a door energy efficient? Well, multiple glass panes, improved core materials is important. Make sure that your wooden door isn't hollow because there are some wooden doors that are made where it's only wood on the bottom and top, and it's kind of like a veneer and it's hollow inside. Don't get one of those. Hot water heater blanket. So a hot water heater runs just about every day. It's constantly there, heating the water, ready for you to use it. People don't realize you can go to Lowe's and Depot and buy a hot water heater blanket for like 30 bucks. Wrap the dang thing. The hot water heater is insulated around that cylinder, but any more help you can do, studies have proven it keeps your water warm more, and you don't have to keep using that electricity or that natural gas. So I recommend it to all my clients when we're walking through. I'm like, hey, go spend 30 bucks and slap a hot water heater blanket on that water heater. If you have a little bit more money and your client's hot water heater craps out, or if after the inspection takes place for your buyer and the inspector says, the hot water heater's 18 years old, rusting, the rust on the bottom's a telltale sign the hot water heater's just about to crap out. Offer them the option. Say, hey, what do you guys think about instead of doing a hot water heater, why don't you do a tankless water heater? Those are much more efficient than the big older style hot water heaters. Windows, energy efficient windows. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. My uncle and I put brand new windows in half of my house so far, the back and side. It's absolutely amazing how much more efficient our heating and cooling bills have been in the past years since we did that. And those windows that we replaced were 40 plus years old, and now we have newer, more energy efficient windows. They look nicer. Think about this too. Hey, a basic window isn't that expensive. You can get one for $200, $300, $400. That's a name brand. It's the labor to install a window. So if you wanted a weekend project, try replacing a window in your house. Just see how it goes. HVAC. Why you should invest in a high efficiency HVAC system. So this is one of the most power hungry pieces of equipment in any home or building. Upgrading to a high efficiency HVAC can definitely help. And I get it. It comes with a cost. But you know what? If you're running an old system and you keep limping it along, maybe it's time to just bite the bullet and say, you know what? Let me go get some quotes from an HVAC technician, a company, and see what is their good, better, best model. A high efficiency HVAC system obviously uses less energy, and they've got the SEER rating of 13 or higher, are usually considered high efficient. Just about any model you're going to buy nowadays is going to be higher than 13. Planting. This is a big one that people forget about. Nature, shrubbery, the trees, all that stuff. When you have that around your house, that actually helps as an insulator. One of the big things it does, it helps break the wind. The wind comes howling down in cold months in Cincinnati. When that wind picks up and it's pounding on your house, that's making your house colder, your exterior, your envelopes working harder. That means your HVAC system, your heating's working harder. So if you have trees, shrubs, anything that's surrounding the exterior, your envelope of the house, and that can take the brunt of the wind. That actually helps you when it comes to the efficiency of your home. So when you are out walking, showing houses with your clients, and you see stuff like that, don't be afraid to bring that up. I do all the time. I'll be like, oh, look at those great trees right there. Those evergreens are high enough to block all that wind coming. It's actually acting as an insulation for this side of the house. That is really cool. And then one other thing about, that I'm talking about this, just make sure too, when you're planting or when you're touring homes with your clients, if you ever see trees that have branches overhanging the roof, scraping against the shingles or overhanging the gutters, that is something that, whether it's your home or a client, you need to take care of that. Do not let that constant wind that is moving those tree branches and just scraping the shingles over and over again. That is going to wear down the shingle, and that is going to be an opportunity for a leak to occur. So, as we're talking about planning and the importance of it around a home, just remember that as well. Guys, if you're just picking up a few of these tips that you can use to talk to your clients and make you look more credible, remember, perception is reality. If you have that perception, if you sign that touring agreement on the hood of the car before you showed them the first house and you talk about all this stuff, they're going to be like, man, he or she is very credible. They were great. Let's sign that exclusive buyer agreement. All right, lighting. So there's a few different types of light bulbs out there. A lot of people had the incandescent ones for many years. Then halogen, the CFLs. But if you can put LEDs in your house, holy cow, they just last. They last a long, long time. They're much more efficient. They're much brighter. It doesn't cost that much in the grand scheme of things to get an LED light bulb and swap it out for one of your incandescent or halogen, whatever it may be. So that is something, again, easy, not very expensive for you to do, but ultimately save in the long run. How about insulation? Let's talk about, look at this lady here, blown in insulation in the attic. Great idea. Here's the problem. When you blow in insulation like this, it looks great. It's at the certain height that it's supposed to be, but guess what? Over time, it sinks and sinks, it compacts, which can be a good thing, obviously, compacting. But most homes, studies show most older homes are under insulated in the attic space. If you had blown in insulation many years ago, you might want to take a look at that and see. There's different R values for insulation. So that is whether you do the rolled kind. So in this picture, it's the blown in insulation, but you can always add rolled in insulation over top of blown in insulation as well. It's one of those things that you almost can't over insulate your house enough because you're just going to reap the benefits when it comes to your energy bills. How about your house envelope? This is cool. I've got a brick ranch right now, which is pretty efficient. I love brick ranches. For you, those of you that know me, I love brick ranches as investment properties. I live in a brick ranch. But one thing that my brick ranch is 60 years old, it goes straight from the brick to, there's a little space, a gap in between, and then it has plaster. So it does not have the insulation. And in our winters in Cincinnati, our exterior plaster walls get very, very cold. And there's a company out there, my uncle actually had it done to his house, called USA Insulation. They'll come out and in brick, they will drill holes in the mortar of your exterior, and they pump in this injection foam, they call it, and it kind of expands in that gap between where the brick is and where it hits your plaster. And I want to look into it. I want to see what that will cost to do our house and really encase the envelope of our house with this injection foam. So there's a lot of possibilities out there for you to further insulate the house. How about airflow? This is this little can right here. I've got multiple cans at my house. These are called Great Stuff. This one's for gaps and cracks. When my uncle and I just put in a new window, we actually install the window, and then we use this Great Stuff, We spray it all around. And believe it or not, when that hardens overnight, that great stuff is actually what holds that window in place. And some of you might be thinking, well, man, that window is going to fall out. No, this great stuff, when it hardens, it's not only an insulator around the window, but it hardens the window to the brick exterior, to the inside. It's amazing. And then once we trim it out after, you don't see any of it. It's really, they call it great stuff. I'm a big fan. It is great stuff. Weather stripping doors and windows. Very simple to do. You guys should be doing this. It's very easy to shut a door and see. You probably have heard of the lighter test before, where you can take a lighter and you put it, you start it, and the match or whatever, the lighter, the flame, you put it all around the exterior of your window, or the cracks of your window or door, exterior doors, and you can see it start flickering. You know you've got air movement coming in. Weather stripping works. Very simple, easy to do, a weekend project to go around to your exterior doors and your exterior windows in order to put some weather stripping and stop that airflow coming in and out of your home. All right, we're wrapping up here. We got about 10 more minutes. I love this song. I don't, talking about the man in the mirror, the lyrics are so good. I used to use this at the Newport Aquarium all the time with my staff. I ran a session one time with all of our volunteers and staff. There's 50 plus people. I had 50 plus little mirrors sitting on everybody's table. They had no idea what was going on. I hit play on this song, Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. The lyrics are powerful. Just read that. I'm going to make a change for once in my life. It's going to feel real good, going to make a difference, going to make it right. You know, I turn up the collar, my favorite winter coat, wind is blowing my mind, see the kids in the street without nothing to eat. And then the refrain, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If they want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change. So I was playing that song. Everybody was looking in the mirror. I had them look in that mirror. It was really cool. It's a powerful moment. But the reason I use it here is because, look, to learn about this stuff is one thing, but unless you make the change, unless you want to make the change in your own life, your own house, your own condo, your own investment properties, or at least make the change of adding some of this information I'm talking about to your tool belt, sticking that in your tool belt as a realtor, and start incorporating this into your work and mentioning these things when you're showing buyers houses or when you're doing listing appointments, you're walking around, you can point out some things that might help that house sell more, or you might be able to use that on the energy featured checklist from your MLS. Last thing I'm going to say is I'll give you a last piece of advice here. When you say this term, when you say this statement, conservation starts with education, that is the secret to conservation. It all starts with education. We as real estate agents, that's what we do. We educate our clients. We educate each other. I learn all the time from other agents in our brokerage, from other presentations that other people are doing. You can never stop learning. But conservation is only one thing. If you pick up a plastic water bottle and recycle it, that's one action you did. But ultimately, conservation starts with education, knowing and understanding, and being able to share that with others. And that's what I did today. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. If you have any questions whatsoever, I am more than happy to answer anything that you may have.
That was great, Dan. I love it. And just a couple things I mean, and you said it multiple times, sort of in the beginning and then ended with it. But, we do a lot. We talk a lot about, hey, I need to be different. How can I be different than the next agent that is with this buyer or the next agent that is walking through a listing appointment? And we don't have to be experts in this, but knowing just enough in a few comments and knowing about the home energy score, things like that. One conversation, one little mention as you're talking to a client, and they'll just, like, oh, I've never heard an agent tell me that, or the agent before you coming to list an appointment, they didn't mention that. So I love the idea of just knowing a little bit and then learning a little bit each day. So I mean, that's really cool. And then just the idea of it being front and center, like even if you're purchasing something. So I bought a new furnace. It was probably 2 years ago, and there wasn't like a company that said, oh, we're going to give you a $500 rebate. It was like our gas company that offered that rebate. And me just knowing, like, I went to the website and it was like, oh, $500 rebate from the gas company, not the company that built the furnace kind of thing. So just kind of being aware. I love the idea of the home energy kit from Duke Energy. Like, go to your electric company, go to your local gas company, and just go to their website. You'll be amazed at what's on that page. Just some tidbits, potential rebates, things like that. So it's pretty cool. So I appreciate you taking the time today. It's been great.
Great. Yeah. And again, you're trying to separate yourself. Remember the statistic of the average American knows what, 9 or 11 real estate agents. So how are you going to separate yourself from everybody else? This is just another way to do it. And as Wayne said very well, you don't have to know everything, but if you can just add a couple of comments here and there, it makes you look more credible that you do understand this, you do know it, you are aware of things like that. Because I guarantee you this, a lot of other agents aren't talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, just some thank yous and good sessions. A few folks had to hop off, but sent me a text and said they'll finish the recording when they get it. So, but no, great stuff. I'll pause just for another second if anybody has any questions for Dan. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dan. Appreciate it. Love the passion. I could feel it. So it's it's definitely great stuff. So
Awesome. Thanks again, everybody, for jumping on. Wayne, thanks for having these and inviting me to present. Love to do it. So, you guys have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend.
awesome. Thank you so much, Dan.